I've always been deeply unsettled since that night. Did I witness a lost traveler in distress, someone who truly needed my help? Or did I see something else entirely? My friend Jake insists it was something unnatural, something dangerous. A creature imitating sounds in the forest, stalking us as we hiked down the mountain. It was a chilling thought, but I'll leave it up to you to decide. For now, I'm passing the next story over to Lex, who makes similar videos to mine. Now, on to Lex's story. I was driving home late at night, music playing, when I saw a guy by the side of the road, thumb out, looking for a ride. I almost stopped. He looked pretty harmless, maybe mid-40s, carrying a fishing pole and a backpack. Just a regular guy, right? But I was alone, and I've heard too many horror stories about hitchhikers. So, I kept going. As I drove, guilt gnawed at me. What if he was genuinely stranded? Wouldn't I want someone to help me if I were in his shoes? And besides, wasn't I supposed to be challenging my fears? So, I made a deal with myself. If I looped back around and he was still walking, I'd pick him up. 10 minutes later, he was still there. I pulled over, my nerves on edge. As soon as he got in, I regretted it. He reeked of sweat and alcohol, and his eyes darted around like he hadn't slept in days. His whole presence felt wrong. He asked for a cigarette, and I handed him one with shaking hands. I tried to act normal, but I was already calculating how I'd defend myself if he tried anything. His name was Darren, said he lost his license from too many DUIs and was crashing at some guy's place a few miles down the road. As I drove, he kept trying to convince me to come over for a drink, kept saying I should hang out. When we reached his stop, it was a rundown shack surrounded by junked cars. He hesitated before getting out, still pushing for me to come inside. I declined. He shut the door, and I drove off, relieved. That was Friday. On Monday, my coworker said, "Hey, did you hear about that murder out on Briarwood Road?" Briarwood Road, where I had dropped Darren off. I mentioned I had picked up a hitchhiker there. My stomach dropped when, minutes later, I saw Darren's mugshot on the news. He had stabbed someone to death in that very house the night I dropped him off. The man he was supposedly living with, he didn't exist. Never again. I will never pick up another hitchhiker. Big thanks to Lex for sharing that story. Now let's move on to the final one. My boyfriend Ryan and I went on a long road trip, camping at different spots along the way. Everything had been great, until one night in the remote forests of Washington. We decided to set up camp off a trail deep in the woods, away from any established campgrounds. It was beautiful, but eerily silent. Something about the place felt off. By the time we set up our tent, it was nearly dark. We played some cards, bundled up, and planned to wake up early to leave. Around 11 p.m., I woke up abruptly, wide awake with a feeling I couldn't shake, like I was being watched. I lay there listening, but there was only silence. An hour later, Ryan woke up too, unable to fall back asleep. Then we heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate steps on the dirt path leading up to our tent. They stopped right outside. I held my breath, my heart hammering. Ryan grabbed our small camping knife and whispered, "Did you hear that?" I barely managed to whisper back, "Hello?" hoping it was a park ranger or another camper. No response. Ryan unzipped the tent and leaped outside, knife in hand. No one was there. We didn't hear anything walk away. No rustling, no retreating footsteps. It was as if whatever had approached us vanished. We grabbed our stuff in record time, threw everything into our packs, and sprinted back to the car. We didn't stop or look back, afraid of what we might see. We spent the rest of the night in a gas station parking lot, locked inside the car, too shaken to sleep. To this day, we have no idea what or who came to our tent that night. And that wraps up today's video. Let me know in the comments, do you prefer shorter videos like this or longer ones? Should I do more collabs? Your feedback helps a lot. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe.